Hello, everyone. Welcome to July. We are in July celebrating 4th of July tomorrow. And today we're kind of on theme, right? Asking if has the housing market become unaffordable, not only in America, but right here in Georgia. So if you are joining us, hello, welcome. Please let me know where you're watching from in the comments. Of course, have any questions or concerns, let me know. How are you celebrating the 4th of July? I am so excited to be spending some time with friends and family tomorrow, enjoying some time on the lake. And yeah, tell me how you're going to be spending the 4th of July holiday. It feels a little bit weird, it falling kind of like in the middle of the week or Thursday. Thursday feels like the middle of the week. And I don't know about you, but things have been busy for me. I don't feel like many people are taking the week off when it comes to enjoying the holiday. So welcome, my latest in my world. I have my kids, my dogs. They're jokingly we're calling them. They're at a vacation Bible school, but really they're at training and boarding camp so that we can have some well-behaved dogs. I don't know. We just got an update on one of our dogs, and bless it, he's not getting it. The other one is definitely getting the commands and sitting and all those kind of good things, and the other one just struggling, but they'll be there for a good another 12 days. So we'll see what progress little Hank can make in that time period. Sharonda joining us from New Jersey. Welcome. Thanks for joining me. We have had quite a few clients from New Jersey. It's one of those states where we are getting more and more people from, and it's not one that originally was at the top of the list during the pandemic, but it feels like this year and lately, New Jersey has been the top of the list in terms of clients that we've helped relocate here to Georgia. We've gotten a lot of people from Florida, surprisingly. Oh, look, Sharonda, you've got another person joining you from New Jersey, Carl. Thank you for tuning in and watching. But yeah, so New Jersey, we've got Florida, Texas, and California tend to be the biggest areas or states where we see the most amount of people relocating from right here to the metro Atlanta area in Georgia, and for a variety of reasons. So if you have any questions, let me know in the comments. But today we're talking about, has home ownership here in Georgia just become unaffordable? And gosh, the market has drastically changed since I first started this channel a few short 3 years ago. And home prices have definitely taken a turn. But home prices aren't the only thing that's taken a turn here. There's a lot that's happened over the past couple of years that has drastically increased home prices here in Georgia. Victor is joining us from California. Welcome. Oh, Jane, you used to be in New Jersey and now you're in Florida and soon to be Georgia. Oh, we've got a fellow real estate agent joining us in Alabama. Hi, Brian. Thanks for joining the live stream tonight. So we talking about how much things have increased in cost. And I saw a recent headline and I thought this was important to talk about. So not only has home prices increased, but just about everything, right? So take a look at this. This is the cost of goods at a McDonald's and how much they have changed from 2014 to 2024. So that's a 10-year difference. I think I couldn't exactly find a graph that gave us over the past couple of years, but this is a good, graph to kind of talk about the increase in prices of things. We all remember that McDonald's used to have the dollar menu, right? That's gone away. There's 2 for $3.50 now. Really, the good stuff is not on there like it used to be. I used to love a good breakfast burrito at McDonald's, and you could get those for $1. No more. An Egg McMuffin is like $4 now. That's too much. But yeah, so here we see the increase in prices over the years. We're paying almost $5 for an Oreo McFlurry in 2024. A quarter pounder meal, $11.99. Y'all, that's a lot, right? You can go into some fast casual restaurants or even, heck, sit down restaurants during lunch and get a meal for the same price. That's really expensive. So we're seeing this not only in the housing market, but we're seeing this in everywhere that we look. And so I just wanted to kind of take a look at the home prices, what things are doing here in Georgia, and kind of give you a little bit of idea where we came from, where we're going, and what you can expect ahead. Oh, Jane says that she switched to Happy Meals. I love a good Happy Meal. Side note, I've never seen anyone else that does this, but I love McDonald's chicken nuggets. And the pro move, trust me on this one, you gotta try it. Go to McDonald's, get the chicken nuggets, and ask for a side of honey. Not honey mustard, but actual honey. And then dip the chicken nuggets into the honey. It is so good. I always have to like double check my bag to make sure it's an actual thing of honey and not honey mustard, because they always put the honey mustard in there. Happy early holiday to Truth. Same to you. Happy July 4th. Anybody do anything like crazy fun? There's going to be great fireworks here in North Metro Atlanta, especially here on Lake Lanier. Lots of different places do 4th of July fireworks over the lake, and it's really pretty and beautiful. Oh, Jane, you're with me. You love the nuggets. All right. So let's take a look at some home prices and things that have happened over the past couple of years. Here's another graph that just kind of shows a little bit more in the past 4 years of how household expenses have changed. And this kind of surprised me. If you'll see there, housing, it might be hard to see. Housing is that light blue or the darker blue line, but transportation and utilities and food, inflation has outpaced housing and healthcare. So that's, we're just getting hit from all angles here, right? But let's take a look at what's happened with home prices here in the Metro Atlanta area. So this graph is pulling recent home sales through May of 2024. Our local MLS data system is a little bit lagging behind. It takes a while to get the new June numbers. So May is the most recent data that we can take a look at. This is in Alpharetta and Milton, which is one of the more expensive suburbs of North Metro Atlanta area, if not the most expensive suburb, in my opinion. And Alpharetta has seen incredible growth over the past couple of years. You'll see here that if we're looking at May of 2023 to May of 2024, the median sales price of a home has decreased by 8.7%, but the average sales price is up 4.3%. If we look year to date, so comparing numbers to May of 2024 to overall the yearly numbers, median sales price is up 26% to $1 million. And the average sales price for a home in the Alpharetta Milton area is $1.2 million. Let me see if I can share this graph. I don't know if I have this teed up for you, but yeah, let me show you this. Okay, so this is Alpharetta. It's showing you in June of 2024, it's telling me that the median was $695,000. And if you go all the way back to January of 2019, $390,000. That's insane. It's almost right at 100% increase since 2019. That's a staggering amount. Now, don't we all wish we owned a home in Alpharetta back in 2019? All right, so Alpharetta is not the only one that has had crazy increase in prices or steady increases in prices. Here you're looking at Suwanee and Johns Creek area. Those are also two very popular areas, great schools, great access to amenities. And you see here in May that the average sales price of a home in Suwanee, Johns Creek was $751,000. That is up 0.5% compared to May of last year. But if we look at a year as a whole, they're up 8% on average when it comes to home prices. The median sales price is up 7%. So as you can see, in 2021, 2022, we had double-digit increase in home prices here in the Metro Atlanta area. A normal healthy rate of appreciation is around 5%. That is what is considered a healthy growth. And as you can see, a lot of these areas are still pacing for higher than normal home price appreciation. And you're probably sitting there thinking, what in the world? How is this happening with interest rates the way that they are? We're going to kind of dig into that a little bit too. Um, this is Hall County, which is where Gainesville and Flowery Branch are located. Um, Gainesville, Hall County, more affordable area, so not quite as in demand and hot ticket of an item as Alpharetta and the Swanee area. But you'll see here that year over year, year to date, home prices on average are at 500,000 in Hall County, up 6%. Median sales price is 4.6%. So you see that things are still holding steady. And oh no, I had Cumming, or Forsyth. I guess that one did not make it in there. But yeah, home prices in Forsyth County, which is where Cumming is, were also up 9% year to date. So, bottom line is we're not seeing anything getting more affordable. So this is what we are expecting the estimated home price performance to do in the years to come. And so you're seeing that in 2024, 4.3%, 3% next year, 3.5% in 2026. And then we see in the 4% home price appreciation in 27 and 28. We are not seeing any negative depreciation in home value. So for you as a potential homeowner or making a move or buying just in general, and this is national data, they are forecasting home prices are not going down, which just means that the level that it's at right now, it's not going to get any more affordable for you as a buyer. And that can be a very tough pill to swallow. So I'm wondering, those of you that are joining us and watching, thank you for joining. And what do you think about this? And how do these home prices here in Georgia compare to the home prices from where you're watching us from? Let me know what you think about this in the comments. I would love to know and get your insight. When we look at what is projected to happen throughout the year, one thing, even though you might be seeing headlines that say the housing market is in trouble, things are bad, home sales are expected to essentially kind of match what happened in 2023. So we had 4.8 million home sales in 2023, a little bit less than what we saw in 2022. But on average, we should have essentially the same type of year that we did last year. And that is definitely something that, you have to kind of take into consideration. It's not like homes are not selling. Victor is asking, how do the Georgia trends compare to the national trends? Great question. So if you go back and kind of look at this home price performance of what they're expecting home prices to increase, nationally, the data is calling for a 4.3% increase nationally. And when we look at what's currently happening with home sales in today's market, if you look at Hall County, the average sales price is up 6%. So that's beating that national average. If you look at the Swanee Johns Creek area, they're up 8% year to date. So that's beating the national average. Milton, Alpharetta, 18%. So that's crazy, right? So home prices are still going up. And so here in the Metro Atlanta area, we are beating the national average. So Jane says that in her area of Florida, she is seeing the prices are dropping. And so this is a good thing to kind of note. And what is that here in the Metro Atlanta area, it's almost kind of like a tale of two markets. You have the Alpharetta, Milton, Swanee, Johns Creek area. Home prices are very steady. When a great house hits the market, it's selling for multiple offers over asking price. And even, decent, good homes that are photographing well are selling for multiple offers quickly. Looking in a little bit more rural area in Jefferson, which is just outside of the Brazelton area, recently had a client send me a house that was priced really well, photographed beautifully, was in great shape. Like you could tell. These were really great owners, and the inside was very updated and modern, kind of like that modern farmhouse style look. And this house was listed for 415 and was already had multiple offers calling for highest and best. And they were almost at the 450 mark whenever I talked to the agent. I was trying to figure out, like, hey, do we even stand a chance of competing with this house based on what my client's budget was? So that is happening. And then if you look on Zillow, you'll see a lot of price decreases and price corrections. And you may be asking yourself, like, where is this coming from? This seems contradictory to what I'm saying right now. And we are seeing that because one or two things are happening. Either one, sellers in their mind are still thinking that we're in the heyday of 2021 and 2022 when we could just put a house out there on the market, give it a price, and people would buy it regardless of the condition, regardless of how it photographed, regardless of, the paint colors and things like that inside of the home. Those days are gone. And what we're seeing is that we're having to do price corrections to match the market demand for these homes. Homes that are not in the best condition, aren't move-in ready, haven't been very well maintained. Sellers are now having to adjust a little bit and get back into the market where they have to prepare their homes to get sold. And those are the price corrections that we are seeing. And it's also in real time. The data is a little bit hard because we are seeing some price corrections and market corrections a little bit with the interest rates. So even though interest rates are high, we're still seeing that the buyers are having a hard time catching up or staying with where interest rates are. So you're seeing price corrections to kind of help with that. Um, a little bit of a mixed message for you. And yet there is still some opportunity right now in today's market to negotiate a better deal or negotiate closing costs on a home that has been on the market for a little longer than normal. So that is something that you definitely want to keep in mind as you're thinking about making a move. There's definitely parts of the country that are having slower sales, just like Jane's seeing down there in the Florida area. Brian joining us, real estate agent from Birmingham. In terms of home prices and what they're doing, Birmingham is a lot like the Metro Atlanta area, and they are seeing definitely more sales, home price appreciation, very similar to what we're seeing here. Jane, are more people paying cash or taking a mortgage? Great question. So cash, this is just anecdotal evidence. Cash is not as prevalent as what it was in 2021 and 2022 when it felt like, or it was, 1 in 3 homes were selling for cash. Being both on the buyer side and the listing side, we are seeing not as many cash buyers as what we have been seeing. So if you are a cash buyer in today's market, that is also something that you're not in 2021 and 2022, you being a cash buyer, you were probably one of 3 or 4 cash buyer offers on a home. Being a cash buyer today in 2024, you're likely maybe the only cash buyer. And so cash is king. That does give you a little bit of negotiating power when it comes to a seller, especially if there's multiple offer situations, or even if there's not multiple offers and you're offering cash, it can give you a little bit of leverage to give that seller a guaranteed sell and to, maybe offer a little bit less for that house or offer some better terms that are more conducive to what you're looking for. So a little bit opportunity there when it comes to making offers with cash. But that's not to say that right now, a lot of sellers, they're just happy to be getting offers and negotiating on their home sale. So we're getting a little bit closer back to a normal market, which is much, much needed. We don't need to see double-digit home price appreciation like we're seeing in Alfred and Milton. We need to get back to kind of what's happening in Hall County, where it's 6% home price appreciation year to date, not the double digits. So it's kind of a little bit hard to remember that for a lot of sellers, we're kind of getting back to a normal market. And it doesn't feel normal because we are so used to everything selling in 24, 48 hours with 10 plus offers and the seller just negotiating the exact terms that they're wanting. We got Brandon joining us from Chicago, another great real estate agent there in Chicagoland joining us. Thank you. So if you have any questions about making a move or questions about the market, drop those comments, questions below. Love to help answer that for you or hear your thoughts on everything that is going on. So going back and taking a look at some more data, let's take a look at, we talked about what home sales are going to do. Where are mortgage rates going? Y'all, this is the question of the century, right? So if you go back to live streams earlier in the year, all the headlines and all the data were predicting by this time, at this point, I would have been expected to be talking to you about interest rates in the low sixes based on what economists were predicting earlier in the year. And here we are. And if you haven't looked at interest rates lately, we are in the 7% range. So low sevens, 7.25, 7.1. It really just depends on a lot of different factors, but the sixes are not here. And this has been very, very frustrating, not only for buyers, but also the real estate market in general. However, they're still expected to come down this year. Q3, Q4, we're predicting that we should get into the high sixes and maybe mid sixes by the end of the year. Y'all, I'm not holding my breath. It's going to be a blessing when this happens, and yet I'll believe it when I see it. They do have to come down. We are getting better data when it comes to inflation numbers, and that's definitely going to help. And as you've heard me talk about here on the channel time and time again, when interest rates come down, more buyers see this as a very positive thing that they should come out into the market. And now's a great time to purchase a home. This is going to signal to the buyer market out there of like, yes, finally, some good news. Things are headed in the right direction. Let's go house hunting. The fact of the matter is, we're not going to have more sellers put their house on the market, and that's going to create an imbalance that we currently already have. It's just going to strengthen that imbalance where we have more buyers than we have sellers, and it's just going to create more competition for the current houses that we are trying to buy. So when we look at, is the housing market becoming unaffordable, what we can see and on the horizon is that we can just see more competition for homes. So, and more competition for homes almost always means you're going to be paying more for the house. So it's going to become even more unaffordable. So we've got higher prices happening projected for the next 5 years, 4% on average year over year. We've got interest rates coming down, meaning more competition for homes. That results in you paying more for a house. And that can be very hard to understand. I keep going back time and time again to a client that I helped sell their house in 2020. And this client, they were selling their home because they needed to move from a 2-story to a 1-story home. And this was right when interest rates, COVID, all those things were happening. And they were convinced that they were going to wait until the market settled down a little bit and home prices became a little bit more affordable. If you've been watching me for a while here on the channel, I talk about this buyer a lot because I just cannot get this buyer out of my head of the fact that they decided to go rent and wait because they thought that that was the best decision for them. What happened to home prices here in the metro Atlanta area in 2021 and 2022 was that we saw 20% year over year home price appreciation. The home that they wanted is now no longer affordable or attainable at all because income levels didn't appreciate, 20% year over year. We definitely haven't seen that. And so the one thing that's so challenging is that it's so hard to time the market. We don't know exactly what's going to happen, but what we do know is that if you can make something happen and it fits your lifestyle and it fits what your family needs, then, and this is another factor, if you're planning on staying in the home for more than a few years, it's usually that's your sign that that's the right time to buy. Because unfortunately, kind of fell out of touch with this buyer client. Yeah, they're still renting, and we keep trying to come back to them to help in any way that we can, but what they want now they can't get, and that is so hard to swallow, not only for me as an agent because I want to help, but I can't create a house out of thin air. And I wish I could go back in time and tell them, like, oh my gosh, you're not going to be able to afford anything anymore. So Jane asks, how are the new realtor rules for commission going to affect sales? Sorry, didn't mean to hit the camera. Jane, great question. And this is something that everyone needs to know, and we'll probably end up doing an entire video on this so that you can be very educated. But what Jane is referring to is the result of a lawsuit that was made by a class action group of plaintiffs against the National Association of Realtors, stating that realtors were price fixing their commissions and that this was negatively impacting buyers and sellers. As a result of the settlement from that lawsuit, there's been a couple of changes that have been rolled out. Now, full disclosure, real estate commissions have always been negotiable. Historically, the way that it has worked is that the listing side, the seller, has always paid real estate commissions. The listing agent, that brokerage, gets to choose in conjunction with the agreement that they sign with the seller of what happens to that real estate commission. Historically, that real estate commission has been shared. That listing side decides what they're going to share with the other side. Usually it's been a 50-50 split. If you look on average across the country, I believe like the average real estate commission is around 2.7%. And that's per side. So the lawsuit was alleging that that realtors were not negotiating on that number, and it was always a 6%, and then 3% was shared with the buyer side. It's always been negotiable. That's why we have an average commission rate of around 2.7%. If it wasn't negotiable, that number would be 3%. So as a result of this settlement agreement, the National Association of Realtors agreed to settle the lawsuit. Is that a few things were going to happen. One, they're going to stop displaying what a seller is paying for a buyer's agent commission. So if you go on Zillow right now, maybe we should do that. As I'm talking, I am going to pull up Zillow and show you that you can see on a buyer side how much that real estate brokerage, how much the oh, can y'all see this? Nope, let's see here. Add to stage. Oh, hang on. Sorry. I'm getting it. I'm almost there, I promise. Okay, so look at this listing here in Lawrenceville, Georgia. You go on Zillow, you can scroll down. It's kind of like information that you have to search for and know where it is. They don't make it completely user-friendly. I'm usually looking at this on the back end. Maybe I've already passed it. Okay, this is not very engaging content, is it? Let's see. I think it's right here. All right, scroll down for more information. Keep going, keep going. No, where is it? Maybe they've already taken it away. Okay. Okay. So, all right. not engaging content. Let's go back to this. So, long story short, Zillow, all of the public facing websites and including the MLS systems are no longer going to display what a buyer's compensation is going to be. The only way that we as agents representing buyers will know that information is by contacting the listing agent directly. So the only way is that listing agent to tell us directly what they're paying or what the seller has agreed to pay, if anything. Now, when it comes to you as a buyer working with a buyer's agent, you are going to have to enter into an agreement up front before you see any houses with that real estate agent, so that that agent has the ability to disclose to you what that buyer's agent fee that they charge is. And so you're going to start to see real estate agents are going to ask you as consumers to sign an agreement prior to them showing you a house. This is a new rule that goes into effect in August across the board for all realtors across the country. And I want you to be super, super careful before you sign any agreements with an agent. One, make sure you thoroughly read that agreement and make sure that you're in alignment with what that agreement states. The second thing that you need to know is you need to pay attention to the time frame of that agreement. So if you call a realtor off of Zillow and say, "Hey, I want to go see this house," and they say, "Great, I'm going to meet you there," and then you meet them in the driveway and they say, "Before we see this house, I need for you to sign this paper giving me permission to show you the house." And that agreement is going to state things like how much that agent is going to get in compensation if you write an offer on the house. But in that agreement, they could say, "Hey, this agreement lasts for a period of a month, 3 months, 6 months." And if you sign that agreement, whether you use that agent or another agent in the future, if you do not get out of that agreement, you owe that realtor a commission, regardless if that's the agent that helps you write the contract or not. So it's very important for consumers to know before you sign any agreement with an agent, make sure that it's an agent that you really want to work with. And make sure it's an agent that has a clause in there that helps you get out of that agreement if for some reason you decide that y'all are no longer a good fit. So just really, really, really make sure that you understand what you're signing. My fear is that we're going to have so many buyers that just sign paperwork just because an agent's saying, "Hey, here, sign this," and I have to have this signed in order for me to show you the house, without the consumer reading through that information and realizing that they're committing maybe possibly to a longer term agreement that is a binding document. So it's going to be important for you to make sure that you know about that going forward if you're going to be purchasing a house anytime in the near future. But the implications for buyers is that you really want to make sure that you know what compensation the seller is offering to your buyer's agent. And if it's less than what that buyer's agent charges, one, negotiate that additional fee into the price of the house or the offer that you're offering. Or two, decide up front, is that money that you're willing to pay out of pocket to go to the buyer's agent, or do you only want to see homes that match what your buyer's agent charges? This might be a little bit confusing and probably need to do a full in-depth video to make sure that you understand. But this goes into effect starting August 14th. So you might have some agents that might go ahead and start introducing this a little bit earlier. And it's going to take a little bit of time for the market to adjust and to kind of see what impact that's going to have. I can say that this has been a topic of conversation since fall of 2023. And here in the Metro Atlanta market, we have not seen sellers act in any different way in terms of what they compensate the buyer side. Most sellers are still seeing it as a very good marketing tool to make sure that they are exposing their house to as many possible buyers. Because let's face it, at the end of the day, most buyers just don't have it in their budget to be able to afford the down payment, the closing cost, and pay a realtor fee on top of that. That is a ton of money up front. And talking about our homes becoming affordable, especially when you look at adding 2 to 3.5% on top of what you're already paying for a house to compensate an agent that's representing you, that's really tough to swallow. So that is definitely something to keep in mind as you go forward. And yeah, just make sure that you're working with a really great agent that's providing you a lot of great knowledge and education as well. So great question. Um, all right. So if you have any other questions or thoughts, comments, questions about making a move, let me know here in the comments. If you are just joining and watching us, please make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. Every little bit helps, and it also helps let you know that you're notified every time that we post a new video, which is every single Monday, educating you on what's happening here in the Metro Atlanta area and giving you all the latest and greatest details that you need to know here in the housing market. And of course, if you're thinking about making a move, you're going to see a link down in the description of the video where you can book a call with me. I would love to be your real estate agent and help you make the move here to Georgia. So let's take a look at a little bit more data. When we think of our homes becoming unaffordable, is the dream of home ownership dead? When you look at when we factor in that home price appreciation and we look at what's expected or how much home prices are expected to appreciate, 4% on average for the next 5 years, even though it may feel unaffordable today, if you bought a $400,000 house in the year of 2024, which there's still plenty of $400,000 homes here in the Metro Atlanta area, and if you planned on staying in that house for 5 years, you would have gained $83,000 in equity. Not only are you gaining that $83,000 in equity, you are also obtaining a fixed, essentially monthly payment on your home. So you don't have to worry about increasing rents or things like that. Now, make sure you factor in things like property taxes. And another great advantage that homeowners are going to have, even with interest rates being what they are today, you're going to have the opportunity to refinance here within the next year or so. As those interest rates start to come down, it's going to make sense to do a refinance and lock in an even lower payment on that $400,000 house that you bought in 2024. So that is a very great thing that you can take advantage of because someone that's buying this $400,000 home in 2025, that 417 house that it's now worth may end up selling for 425 or 430 because of multiple offers. So that lower interest rate that you may be able to lock in 2025 as a new home buyer, you essentially just wiped away any benefit that you had because you're having to pay more for that house and compete with multiple offers. Victor asked, are there homes that have stayed on the market for several weeks or reduced price on listings indicative of a trend towards a buyer's market, or are these just bad houses that no one wants? What I am seeing, Victor, is we are not seeing a decline in home values, which is, that's backed up by the data that we talked about or that we showed earlier in those slides. And that's directly from homes here in each of those different counties and areas. What we are seeing when those home prices are reduced or staying on the market for several weeks, it's likely because that home seller has not gone the extra mile to prepare that house to sell and be as attractive to as many people as possible. So typically those homes that are on the market for longer are homes that have outdated paint colors. Maybe they have some carpet that needs replacing. Most people aren't, drawn towards carpet in houses anymore. They want the LVP flooring. Maybe they might have a steeper backyard or no backyard. So therefore you're having a smaller buyer pool. Some other things that are happening is sometimes we also just have sellers with unrealistic expectations. And even though their agent may have said, hey, we should list this house at 500, they said, no, we want to list it at 550 or 525. And so it could be a result of the price catching up to where the agent originally recommended to the seller of what things were selling for based on the features that the homeowner has. So those are all good things to keep in mind. There's also some great opportunities with home prices or those homes that you're seeing price reductions on. Great opportunity to make an offer on that house and negotiate a better deal with a seller. I recently had a buyer that we were able to get a home under contract, and we made an offer that was $35,000 less than what they had it listed for, because the home had been on the market for a little bit, and it was our suspicion that that house was overpriced, and we were able to get it under contract for that. So, and it was a good house. It was just a bachelor house, and it needed a really good cleaning inside. So sometimes you have the opportunity to, what some people would come in and not be able to tell, like, hey, this house just needs a good clean. There's nothing neglected in this home. Everything, you know, is in pretty darn good shape, considering it just needs a good cleaning and a woman's touch, per se. So there's really, really great opportunities in the market right now. And so sometimes, yes, it is indicative that it could be a bad house. And most of the time, it's bad photos, overpriced, just needs a little bit of cosmetic work. And it would be an amazing house that you would have people fighting over. Jane asks, are there any up and coming towns besides Flowery Branch, Gainesville, Cumming, Beaufort that haven't been discovered yet? That's a good one. So one town that I consistently see a lot more affordable homes and some new construction and a lot of growth and development happening is in the town of Monroe. So that is about an hour east of central Atlanta. And that area is a little bit more rural. So you're not going to have all the great amenities out there just yet. But there's a lot of growth and development happening, a lot of new construction happening out there, and there's still a lot of land to be developed. So I think Monroe is going to be like the new Brazelton. And so if you go back and look at what Brazelton was 10 years ago, that's what Monroe reminds me of. And the challenge that a lot of people have right now is they just look at it and they're like, this doesn't seem like hardly anything. But yeah, that's definitely an area that I'm seeing happening. Also, North Gainesville is getting a lot of growth and development too, whereas most of the growth in Gainesville has been kind of concentrated Gainesville town center and south. And so that's definitely an area. Just above Cumming is the town of Dawsonville. They're having considerable growth there, and yet the big difference between Dawsonville and Gainesville or Monroe is that it's not quite as charming, in the sense that you don't have that kind of like that central downtown square or that location. It's a lot of retail development and a lot of big box stores and restaurants and things like that going in over there. And yet the benefit of Dawsonville is that you're right off of Georgia 400, just above Cumming and Alpharetta, and, you know, taking advantage of all that growth. So great questions. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Well, there's just a little bit more data that I think that you should know. Even though we're talking about how expensive home ownership is getting and how much home prices have increased here in Georgia, when you look at people's overall opinion of real estate, it's still considered the best long-term investment that you can make. So if you're watching this and you're thinking about making a purchase and you're saying like, hey, I'm only going to be living in my next house for 2-3 years, this may not be the right time for you to invest in real estate. But if you're looking at staying in this home for 5+ years, real estate is still the best long-term investment. And there's data to back that up that you can, do some research on. I thought this was interesting. This was according to some recent data, and an economist stated that with home prices continuing to reach new highs, owners are also seeing their equity approach the historic peaks of 2023, close to $305,000 per owner. So this is the average equity that we're seeing homeowners have. And that is a lot. It puts you in a very powerful position. But in order to get into that powerful position, to be able to take advantage of that down the road, we got to get you into a house first, right? And my best advice for buyers right now in today's market, especially my first-time home buyers, is just get in where you can. It's likely not going to be exactly what you dreamed or envisioned of that first home being, but it's just so, so important that we start building that equity so that we can sell that home in 5 years, take that equity and buy something that you really love. Um, as my great friend Brandon, who joined us here on the live stream, kind of coined the phrase a granny special. Buying that house that grandma took really great care of, but she didn't do any cosmetic updating, and maybe the appliances are still from 1990 or earlier. Maybe still has wood paneling in the house, and that is the perfect opportunity to build some amazing equity. And there are still great houses like that out there. They're just not going to have necessarily the price point that you want it to have, but all things considered, it's still a good way to get into the real estate market. So, thank y'all so much for joining me on tonight's live stream. I hope you have a fantastic 4th of July. Eat some great food, enjoy being outside. I hope you get to see some great fireworks. And if you're thinking about making a move, please make sure that you reach out to me. I would love to help you. And if it's in an area that I don't serve, I'm going to connect you with a really fantastic agent that is going to treat you just like I would, and that has that same type of knowledge that I do about the market. And that goes for anywhere in the country. I am very, very well connected with really high performing, top producing real estate agents all across the country. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. And I will see you on the next live, or you can catch me on the next video that's coming out here Monday. It's going to be a great one. So thank you so much for joining us. Have a great 4th of July.